Everyone, if you can see me, this is Sonia Miller. I'm about to go live with my client, Lynn Hughes, for a really interesting interview today. And if you can see us and hear us, I think all systems are go. Please say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And we're really looking forward to a conversation today. So if you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller, and I help accomplished professional women who keep settling for less to make the small shifts that bring big abundance. And I have my client here, Lynn Hughes, who will be sharing about some of the small shifts that have been bringing the biggest abundance in her life regarding work, money, and relationships. Excuse me. So this is a new Q&A series, and the whole purpose is that as clients share about their experiences, you walk away with insights and tips and next steps to help you do the same thing. So these small shifts that we're talking about in these interviews have to do with really understanding the difference between the being model of power and the doing model of power, because professional women tend to be really masterful when it comes to hard work, which is the doing model of power. However, the being model of power is about accessing this natural wellspring of abundance within. We all have this within us. We've just kind of forgotten, and sometimes we never learned how to do this. So as we make the small shifts to reconnect with the being model of power and those natural wellspring of abundance that flows in as and through our lives, all kinds of amazing things happen. So again, if you can hear me and you're joining us live, please say hello. Let me know where you're calling from. Lets me know that all systems are go. And if you have any questions or comments at any time, please post them in the chat. We will be circling back at the end to respond to your comments and questions. And one more really important announcement, this entire interview series is directly related to a new masterclass that I'm teaching next week on the 18th, and I'll be posting links above and below. The link for that is whatifitwaseasyclass.com, and it's all about exploring and learning the 3 simple shifts to stop settling, stop waiting, and get what you want now with work and money. So really powerful stuff, and I look forward to sharing that. And you can go on over now if you'd like to learn more. So welcome, Lynn. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm excited to have you here and have people learn about your experience. So let's just jump right in. If you could please share what I like to kind of call it the 3 Ps, your purpose, passion, and or profession. How do you spend, most of your waking hours and your energy and your attention?
It's a really good question. I'm going to go in reverse order. Least important to most important. How about we do it that way? So my profession is I work in media, primarily in nonfiction media, documentaries, podcasts, things like that. And I've been doing that for a long time, more than 20 years now. And I love it. It's great fun. I tell people I get paid to play, which is wonderful. My passion is my family and friends. That's where I like to spend as much of my time as possible. So even though I love my work, for me, the rest of it is more important. And in terms of purpose, I tend to be, the work I do is of a nature, helping people, shining light on inequity, things like that.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. I'm excited for the conversation. So as a place to start, I think it'd be really great to hear a little bit about where you were at with regard to the 3 Ps, and specifically what it is that you were looking for when we met, given that you heard a little bit about this whole approach to being versus doing.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I heard about this through a friend of mine who had been one of your clients, is one of your clients. And at the time, coming out of COVID, I'm one of those people who was really lucky because of the work that I do. I had the opportunity to continue working through COVID. There was a lot of need, especially for news organizations and things like that, to get coverage. And so even though, I live in DC and our city was locked down, I had the kind of freedom that I was able to go out and continue to make money throughout the lockdown, which was great. And it was also a wonderful experience being home with my family as they were working remotely. And we had a nice little bubble here in the area. Coming out of COVID, I was pretty restless. I had a long-term project I've been trying to get finished, and I just kept getting stuck. And when you and I met, I was in a particularly low place. I didn't feel like I'd really created anything of value in a long time, and I was stuck. And I felt like, for many years, my life I've practiced a lot of things to kind of help keep me grounded, to keep me. I'm not a person that's normally quick to anger, things like that. And coming out of COVID, it was different. I had reverted to a lot of bad habits that I hadn't seen in years and years. So it was kind of a frustrating place. I think the first conversation I had with you, I was in a really bad place, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do this course. And then I just kind of made a split decision, I think, the day before or something like that, and was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. So feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, not connected to paraphrase, kind of like a deeper, truer part of yourself that you knew to be who you were and are. So just to open it up a little bit, what has it meant to you now? Oh, just to give people a little bit of context. So Lynn and I met in January. And so this lens that we've been looking at being and doing has been over the course of 3 months through a course called Drive. And so what has it meant to you to start, connecting to the being model of power?
It's really, it's hard to explain. It's been such a transformation. You talk about the being model of power and the doing a model of power. And I clearly was in fight or flight mode, in that doing mode. It had been in that mode for, I'm going to say, at least 3 years. And it had really taken root. And that wasn't, for most of my adulthood, I had worked to be out of that mode, although I didn't know how to identify it. I didn't have the language for it, but I had been operating from a much different place. So to go back into that doing mode, the holding on, the not being in touch with everything, really drained me. I think that's the best way to say it. And shifting into the being, it's been great.
Let's talk about that. So to make it really tangible for people, since this whole Q&A series is about small shifts that bring big abundance, can you talk about some of the small shifts that you started to play with and experiment with and explore?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. So, a lot of the work that we did involved taking a look at what some people would call goals, what you call intended results, which I like a lot more. And I started changing as we started working and looking at this, this openness of being. I started reframing everything. I realized that a lot of the things that I'd done, especially around work and things like that, involved nots, or involved don't, or involved I will do X. And I just, and little by little, and this isn't constant because it's an ever evolving process. I don't do this every day, but just by starting to make those little shifts in thinking about what I wanted in my life, what I wanted to achieve, even redefining what achievement meant in these more open statements, that's where it started to make a huge difference. So I look at the analysis I did when we first started and how I framed everything compared to when we ended. And it went from a very specific to-do list to this is more of the being I want to be. This is more of what I want to see in my life, and just letting all of that come. And that's made a big difference. I do think about that almost every day now, in that changed perspective.
Wonderful. You know, I don't know if we talked about it in your particular experience, but the one of the ways I like to teach it is we focus on the essence so that the form will come. And when we're in doing mode, we usually focus on the form. I want this form, I want this outcome, in the hopes that the essence, which is how I'm going to feel, will come, which is completely backwards. And so I love seeing how you really shifted from focusing on the outcome to who do I want to be? How do I want to be? How do I want to feel? Essence. And, you know, with a general direction towards what you're inviting versus intending, and that shift in perspective. And also, you didn't say this, but you also, even when you talk about it, you kind of went, your face was like this to like this. So like there's a relaxation. There's a relaxation when you stop the hunting and start to like invite and connect with how you want to feel. Does that feel like a description for your experience?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's hard in the work that I do. I don't work in a traditional model. I don't work in a traditional business model. So, and one reason that people don't, you know, they call it freelance. I say that it's my own business. Many people can't do it because there is so much hunting about it. And I've never, it sounds silly, but I really don't have an updated resume. I don't really have a reel because I've spent my life just understanding that work would come to me and that what I needed would be there when I needed it. And that shift happened in COVID, and it probably had something to do with our, you know, kind of global view that we were all in survival mode. So it's nice to be back and just trust that, like you said, so, you know, I have specific goals. I have a film I want to finish. I have these ideas that I'd like to see, but I'm so focused now on the energy around them and just kind of inviting ideas around the concepts rather than I have to have a film done by X date. That's where the shift is happening.
Yeah. And you know, what you're reminding me of is, you know, I like to say that this being model of power is utterly natural to us, you know, so you're a great example of it already was natural to you. You were living your life that way. You were living as an open invitation. You weren't the hunter type when it came to freelance work or anything like that. So for some women, connecting with the being model of power is we just forgot, you know, but for others, and I know this from working with many, it's actually not anything that they ever were conscious of because they were thrust into the doing model of power and survival from a very young age. And what happens is we tend to be validated, compensated, and reinforced and rewarded for how much we can do and accomplish. So then that gets overdeveloped. And then this being model of power is like wilting and malnourished. So it's really for some women about, I've never even learned how to do this, you know, so I love that it was just available for you and, you know, maybe a little new language and a way of looking at it to like do it intentionally. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how that happened because you know, I was not, I didn't live my life that way until probably around 2005, 2006. Everything I did up to there was, you know, I didn't work in a traditional corporate environment, but everything was about a ladder. It was all about getting somewhere else. And somewhere around 2006, I just stopped. I don't know why, but you know, who knows, therapy, who knows what it was, but I made a shift, and for a few years it stuck, and then it kind of started coming back again. So I feel like now it's not a did it stick or did it not, it's more a I am in touch with where I really should be, and it's just going to be easy to grow from here.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, you said that before we went live about how it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It's like it's it's sticking and staying open and flowing. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's really interesting because every day I seem to have a new realization. I mean, I'm one of those people, I'm an introvert. I come across as an extrovert, but I'm an introvert. And if I have a project I'm working on, or if I'm out in the field filming, um, I had this habit the day after that I would just like sleep for forever and not want to talk to anybody, not want to do anything. And I always criticize myself for it. And somehow in the last couple of weeks, it was like, no, this is your space. This is your body needs to recharge. You have been on for 15 hours. There's nothing abnormal about this. This is how you just have to be. And when I was able to do that, because yesterday I came off of yesterday was my day off after a really big shoot. And I was able to take that time. And then within a couple of hours, I was energized and able to go on with my day and accomplish the things that I knew I needed to get done. So
Yeah, beautiful.
that's a big shift. Yeah.
Right. Now it's just keep plowing through, but nurture and then, ready for some more. Yeah. So for anyone who's here live, whether I can see you or not, if you have any comments or questions, things that are resonating for you, please post them so we know how we can respond to that as we start to wrap up towards the end. But before we wrap it up, I would love to hear, Lynn, you've spoken a lot about sort of the inner world abundance and the creativity flow. Would you share some of the outer world manifestations and abundance that have been showing up in your life as a result of this?
Yeah, and remind me, I didn't tell this, I don't think I told the story, but since we've been working, I have actually, without even trying, I'm getting a lot of new clients. People are seeking me out, people I never knew before. I'll get a referral from a referral from a referral, and somebody will just send me an email and say, hey, do you know anything about this? And that's been really excited because I don't advertise my work a lot. I've relied on word of mouth for decades. And I was in a spot before I started this where I was kind of like, I think I have to shift. I need to build a website. I need to do this. And that's just not been the case at all. And, the big change in the work that we did an energy healing that had a lot of generational trauma tied to it. And after that, there was a fundamental shift, and I can't even tell you why. I don't know why. I slept through part of the energy healing, which you say sometimes happens. It was shocking to me. I couldn't figure out how that could actually happen, but I did. And over the course of the few weeks after that, everything's kind of broken open, and I feel like my creativity is back. I'm able to write a lot more than I used to be able to. And it's there. It doesn't go away. It's there for me to tap when I need it. And it's really kind of always in the front. So that's been really exciting.
Wonderful. Yeah, I know that when you started, you were in a writing rut, as you said. That was great to hear when that was really opening up for you again, too. So, well, I'm thrilled. I love to kind of put some like subtitles on some of these things because it gives everyone who's listening, your mind, something to hold on to. And, I feel like what you're describing, especially when it comes to just attracting clients and people that you don't even know, we talk a lot about how your presence is more powerful than your productivity in the being model of power. And so hunting is all about being productive. And so our consciousness is one that I can only receive if and when I fulfill certain conditions. So it's a linear sort of cause and effect, A plus B equals C. And so we're always keeping the abundance at bay, dependent on certain conditions being fulfilled. But when you start to nurture the being, you're literally receiving from yourself. Your consciousness says, I receive from myself simply because I exist, not because I've done anything or earned it or examined or worked hard enough. simply you having that relationship with yourself, like you said, I was tired, I rested, but you didn't do it from like fighting because I can't afford to and I'm going to collapse, but like, I need to rest. This is what my being needs. And like you said, the flow gates opened up. So that's such a powerful, it's such a subtle yet powerful shift that we could actually receive simply because we exist when we start to see it in this through this lens. So I love what showed up for you. That's really cool.
I also like, we didn't talk about it earlier, but the whole, what does it mean if you show up fully? And not, in my language, I used to say, I'm going to push aside the fear, and not pushing it aside, shifting so that I acknowledge it's there. It serves its purpose. I don't need to suppress it. I can embrace it and be myself fully. And that's been remarkable. Clients, even difficult clients that I've had to work with, respond so much better. It's hard to explain, but I'm able to diffuse situations, things that in the past would get confrontational or people would get defensive. I'm not getting the same reactions. So
good.
Yeah.
I could talk about that for an hour, but we don't have time for that. But thank you for sharing that, because that's so powerful. You're changing your relationship to your fear and not trying to get over it, conquer it, but just embrace it, being. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so we're going to start to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Lynn, for being here, for sharing so generously. I know this is going to help other people. And for those who are interested in this masterclass, please join me. It'll be the 18th at 4 p.m. I'll include links. Again, what if it was easy? 3 simple steps to stop settling, stop waiting, and get what you want now with work and money. I hope you have a great day. Thank you, Lynn. Thanks, everyone who'll be watching on the recording, and hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.